Welcome, yogis, to this yoga stretch designed to help you maintain your mobility. A good all-over stretch that can be done either morning or evening. If you do have some props, some blocks, have them close by. And we'll begin in child's pose. So let your hips settle back towards your feet and stretch your arms out in front of you. If child's pose isn't comfortable, you could start in a seated posture instead. And just take a few rounds of full breath. In through your nose and out through your nose. Deep breaths down towards your low back as you inhale. And slow breaths out. A couple more of those. And on your next breath in, come up to a tabletop. That's neutral spine, shoulders directly over your wrists and hips directly over your knees. Protract your shoulders, so push the ground away and lift the middle of the space between your shoulders up, separating your shoulder blades. And retract the shoulder blades, draw your chest down towards the floor while keeping your arms straight and belly firm. Protract your shoulders, separate. This helps to keep the movement of your shoulders and also can loosen some neck tension. Retract, draw together. Another time, please protract the shoulders and retract. Come to neutral, but then lift the tailbone and head, belly down. Big breath into your belly. Cow pose. And into cat pose, round your whole spine. Flow this into your cow pose, tailbone and head lift. And to cat pose. Another time, inhale and arch. And exhale to round. Find a neutral spine. Tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. This first one of our session, make sure your hands are nice and wide. Your feet also maybe a bit wider than usual. Elevate your shoulder blades and lift your hips up and back. And start to pedal your legs out a little bit. Just a couple more breaths doing this. Lovely. And then find neutral, so you're pretty even in both feet. Tail high, shoulders elevated. Sink into your heels a little bit if that feels possible, without forcing anything. And lower your knees down to the mat, nice and steady, nice and easy. All the way back to a child's pose. Inhale, come back up to your tabletop. This time turn your hands to the side and rock side to side. The closer your hands are, the deeper the stretch is, so you can pick the hand position that finds you just the right amount of stretch. Lovely. And turn the hands forwards. Flip your right fingertips or right hand over so the back of your hand is on the mat. Fingers spread out and your fingers face your knee. And then just open and close your hand a few times. Just working the wrist and the back of the hand. And we'll switch. Flip your left hand over and start to open and close And breathe while you're here. Doing good, yogi. All right, release your left hand again back into down dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Up and back, shoulders elevated. Lift your heels high and sink your right heel, bend your left knee. Both heels high, bend your right knee, sink your left heel. Do that a couple of times. Heels high, tail high, legs straight. Right heel down, left knee bends. Inhale high. So just waking up the back of the legs and the calf and the Achilles. We'll go one more time each side. Right heel down towards the floor. And up high and left down. Good, and up high. Both heels equally low without losing the lift of the tailbone. And lower back down to your knees. And back to your child's pose. Come on up to your tabletop. We're going to start adding in now. Back up to your downward facing dog. And you can do this next pose from tabletop also, if down dog makes it too tricky for your shoulders or your arms. So we're going to stretch your left leg up and bend your knee. Now open up your hip, reach your left toes as far around to the right side as you can. Keep your shoulders elevated and sink into your right heel a bit. Keep lifting the left knee, get a nice big stretch through the left hip flexor. And you could be on the right knee as you do this, that's fine too. And we'll bring the left leg back up. Step your left foot to the little finger. And bring your right knee down so you're coming into a lizard pose. Sink your hips forwards and down. And you can be at any height here. You could always utilize your blocks at this point and put them under your forearms. You could put your forearms on the floor if that's comfortable for you. Or you could stay on your hands. Taking a lovely hip stretch here. A couple of deep breaths. Now at any height, so you can remain at the height you are, left hand to left knee and turn your chest to the left. So you're taking a spinal twist. So that could be on the forearm, you could be on your block, or you could be on your hand for this pose. All of them work equally well. Try and turn belly, ribs and chest. That's it. And both hands back to the floor. So if you're on your forearms, climb your way back up again. Shorten up your lizard by 1 inch or 2. And stretch your left leg back to the back of your mat, in line with the right knee and right hand. And lift the left hand up to the ceiling. So you end up in a side plank on the right knee. Turn your left palm towards the short end of your mat and reach it over the top of your head. So now we're in side body stretch. So it's like your left fingertips want to reach for the floor. And your left ribs want to reach for the ceiling. And your left foot is anchored to the floor. And the weight is distributed through the knuckles and fingertips of your right hand also. All right, well, come up with your left hand all the way up onto the right knee and left foot. And turn towards the back of your mat into a knee warrior 2. So your left knee bends and your arms go to the front and back. If your right knee doesn't like the pressure here, you could either fold your mat up underneath it or grab a pillow or a blanket for it. Start to lunge down, down, down into that knee warrior 2. And breathe. This targets now the inner thighs. You might be coming in and out a little bit. We'll come up. Turn your left toes towards the corner of your mat. Right hand up to the sky and side body stretch. So gate pose. The right hand reaching towards the same end of the mat the left foot's at. Lovely. Come back out with the arms. Turn your left foot back into your knee warrior two. And now wrap your right arm under your left into an eagle wrap. So you're targeting your shoulders and your hips simultaneously. Elbows can lift up to about shoulder height. You could also hold your own shoulders in this if wrapping the hands up feels a little bit too much. Start to lunge down into that knee warrior two. And breathe into the space between your shoulders too. There's a lot going on here, yogi. Breathe into it. Fantastic. Let's release the arms and spin towards the back end of your mat. Bring your hands down. If you're in one line like I am, wiggle the right foot and right knee to the right. Now straighten out the left leg. So you're in our Ardha Hanumanasana, a half split. Blocks are your friends in this pose if you're on the tighter side. So bring the ground up to you. Keep your back nice and straight, pretty neutral as you flex your left foot. One more deep breath here. Fantastic. Bend your left knee. Move your blocks. Put your right hand on the floor and left hand to the sky. Spinal twist. Your option, if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, is to upright and bring right elbow then to left knee for a prayer twist. Sinking down into your hips. You lift your chest at the same time. So yogis, come on up, stretch your hands up. Now bring your hands down onto the left knee. You can rest your forearm here. You can also utilize a block if you prefer to have your hand on a block. And either continue to sink forwards and down, or if it feels possible, bend your right knee and reach your right hand for your foot, coming into a quad stretch now also. So you're getting some lift up through the chest, some element of back bend. Some element of back bend. Keep looking at one spot, don't move your head around too quickly. It might make you wander out a bit. Another deep breath. Carefully release your foot if you did take it. And move your hips back so you can step your way back, downward facing dog. Give everything a bit of movement. Take your right foot high to the sky. Now remember, we did this already on the other side. You could do this in tabletop off of your left knee if that feels more appropriate. Bend your knee, open up the hip. Right toes towards the left side of your space. Root through the right hand, or at least keep it glued to the mat as your toes reach away. Relax your jaw and just look at the middle of your mat in this pose. We'll come up with your right foot and stretch it to the front right side here, or your new front, towards your little finger. Drop the back knee down and start to sink down into your lizard pose of choice. So that could be placed on your hands, could be forearms on blocks, or it could be forearms down. Another deep breath. And from whichever height you are currently at, you can twist right hand to right knee. Turn your chest. So that could be on your blocks, you could be on your hand, or on your forearms. And carefully rotate back down. If you're on your forearms, come back to your hands and shorten up the length of this pose. Stretch your right leg back towards the new back of your mat and lift your right hand up towards the ceiling. So you end up in your knee side plank. Turn your right palm and reach it over the top of your head. So it's like the palm wants to touch the floor. As your right ribs reach up to the ceiling and your right foot roots to the floor. And rise up. Carefully does it. And into your knee, warrior two. So your right knee is bent now, we're turned back towards the front of the mat. You can cushion your left knee, sometimes that helps this to be a more comfortable pose. And just in and out a few times of your knee, warrior two. Stretching to inner thighs. Pause there for a deep breath. And come out enough to straighten out the right leg. Left hand up to the ceiling and over the top in your side stretch, gate pose. Now the chance to open up the waist and the ribs and into your shoulders. Fantastic. Rise up, come back to your knee, warrior two. And this time, wrap your left arm under your right and either hold on to the opposite shoulder or wrap up into a eagle. Sinking down into your warrior two position. Lift your elbows a tiny bit if that feels possible. Good, release your arms, release the legs, start to spin towards the old front of your mat where you began and walk your left knee over to the left a few inches. And straighten out your right leg. You're back in your half Hanuman now on the right side. Your half split, so your blocks may be useful. Flex your right foot and reach your chest out towards the front of your mat. Two more deep breaths. And bend into your front knee. You can use your block for this if you like, or left hand on the floor. Right hand up to the sky, another twist. Those of you that like a prayer twist can adjust your position, left elbow to right knee for your prayer position twist. Adding an extra element of balance and some extra depth to the pose. Keep your jaw relaxed. Lovely, carefully unwind. Hands onto the front knee, sink forwards and down to start stretching into your quad and psoas on the left leg. And then with your right hand staying on the right knee, or perhaps a block if you need extra stability, that can help. Bend your left knee and reach back with your left hand and into your quad stretch. If it feels a little too far away to reach up for today, remain in a low lunge. That's already starting to stretch the same muscles in preparation for this deeper version. Deep breaths. Keep your eyes on one spot to help you with your balance. Well done, yogi. Carefully release out all the way down to the floor. And we'll step our way back, downward facing dog. Give everything some movement, see how it feels. Lovely. Lower your knees down to the mat and take a seat. So if you like to sit up on something, you can always sit up on a blanket or pillow to be more comfortable in these poses. We're going to stretch the right leg straight forwards and tuck your left foot into Janushasana. So we'll go for hamstring stretch once again. Sit up really tall, stretch your hands up and start to lean out over the right leg. If you get any discomfort through this left hip or knee, you can either place your block underneath or stretch the leg out. And come up. Now bring this left foot up and over and towards the outside of your right hip. This may be just right for you on your hips and your knees. Alternatively, you can bring your right foot towards your left outer hip and start to sink down equally through both sides to stretch your hips. You have the option also to add a fold into this pose if you wish. And if your legs are crossed double, slide your left foot out of that a little bit so that the knee points more upwards. If your right leg is straight, same thing applies. That left foot comes up, but the right leg remains straight. Either one of these works exactly the same. Sit up tall, stretch your right hand up, and bring a hand to your left knee and twist to the left. You could also hook your elbow around or elbow outside of the knee, depending on your preference. And turn as far left as you can, looking back, stretching into your neck. And carefully unravel back to facing forwards. Stretch each of the legs out in turn. And we'll take the same poses on the other side. Bring your right foot into Janushasana. Get the hips out from under you, bum out from under you a little bit. Both hands come up. Start to lean forwards. You can rest your hands anywhere at all. Thigh, knee, calf, foot, or floor. Close your eyes. Focus on the quality of your breath. You come up, lift the right foot up and over to the outside of the left hip with the knees kind of snuggling towards one another. This is half Gomukhasana, cow face. Your option is also, if you wish, to bring your left foot to the outside of your right hip, but just an option. I know that can get a lot in the hips and the knees very quickly. You could also fold in this pose if that feels good to you. So you're sitting both hips down equally, the right hip just as much as the left. And then releasing into a Lord of the Fishes variation. That's the right foot comes to the mat with the knee up. It's the same whether the left leg is straight or bent. And take your left hand up to the ceiling and rotate left hand to right knee, left elbow around the knee or outside of the knee. And your right hand behind you is an anchor point that's helping to pull you into a deeper twist. Lovely yogis, carefully unravel, unhook the legs, make your way down onto your front. However you get there works. Stretch your right arm directly off the right side of your mat. Put your left hand under your left shoulder. Point your left toes up to the ceiling and roll onto your right side, coming into a shoulder stretch. So you'll rest your head down on the floor and let the left knee come up as much as you wish. That's the intensity driver there. So if you get a little too intense in the shoulder, drop your knee closer to the right knee. If you want more, lift it further up and back. And just a couple more breaths in this one. And unwind yourself all the way over. Left hand goes out to the left. Right toes point up to the sky. Your right hand's under your right shoulder. It helps to turn you over onto your left side. Use your right foot like a kickstand behind you and find the appropriate intensity for this left shoulder and chest. Continue smooth, steady breaths. And carefully unwind back to your front. Prop up in Sphinx pose. So it's forearms to the mat, tops of the feet resting lightly. And finding a bit of a back bend here. I prefer Sphinx pose because it helps to target the middle and upper back, which is often a part that starts to want to round. But if you prefer a seal pose, you can lift up too. Just observe which one feels most appropriate for where you're trying to maintain your mobility. So Sphinx pose, more the upper back, seal pose, lifting up. For me personally, tends to go more into the low back. 3 more breaths. And carefully release down. All the way to your front, rest your head on your hands. And then you can turn yourself over to lying on your back. Wiggle back onto your mat if you end up off the side. Nice and simple. Hug your knees up towards you. And give yourself a gentle rock side to side. Is there anything else you would like to do prior to a savasana? If you'd like a happy baby or a final twist, allow yourself a few moments to explore those poses. Just taking deep breaths, you can still be hugging in or just moving intuitively. When you're ready, yogi, extend out to Shavasana. You can place a bolster under your knees if you wish, a blanket under your head if you like. Settle into being comfortable. Relax your head, your face, your jaw. Soften the neck and shoulders and down your arms. Relax your hands. Soften the belly. Down into the glutes and pelvis. And all the way down to your feet. If you would like to stay longer in Shavasana, feel free to do so. If you're ready to continue with your day or your evening, begin to move your hands and your feet. And deepen your breath. Take a morning-like stretch as you inhale. Reach out or up. And as you exhale, curl your knees in towards you, give yourself a hug and roll to your side. Press all the way back up to a comfortable seated position. And place your hands together in front of you. Take a deep breath in, please. And let it go. Thank you for your practice. Namaste. If you enjoy these practices, please remember to like and subscribe.